Today, we are going to be answering a bit of a weird question, but I think one that is really important. Do I regret becoming blind? Hi everyone, my name is Josh Tseng. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about what it's like to live with blindness. So, I don't think it is that much of an understatement to say that having a disability can come with its challenges. It can be hard, it can be inconvenient, and it can be really emotionally difficult. And one question that I really get quite often is from people who ask something that goes along the lines of, do you wish you could see again? Or are you hoping for a cure? Or something like, do you regret having your condition? Honestly, it sounds like a bit of a weird question, but it brings up a really important part of the conversation surrounding people with disabilities. Is having a disability something that is regrettable? So today, I'm going to have an honest discussion with you about this topic, and you can get some perspectives on how I feel about it. So just to clarify, what I have is blindness, or if you want to be more accurate or use the politically correct term, I am vision impaired. I have congenital glaucoma that was diagnosed with at the age of 7, and slowly over time I lost my eyesight. Today, what I can see in my left eye is a very blurry color, and in my right eye, the vision looks like I'm looking through frosted glass. And in both eyes, the vision field is very narrow, about less than 10%. That is just a sort of ballpark estimate. It's not scientific, but that's basically what I can see. And if you would actually like to learn more about my story and how I became blind, I made an entire video about it where I went into quite lengthy detail about my story. So you can check it out, maybe somewhere here. I don't know how I'm going to link to the video, but it will definitely be in the description. And so with that context established, I'm going to be covering some things that are already covered in that video. But if you want to see the full story, you can watch that, like I said. But, like I mentioned in that video, and also like I've talked about in past videos, being blind is fairly inconvenient. There's a lot of things that become a lot more difficult because the world was built for people who can see. That sounds pretty normal, right? So a lot of instructions are very visual. A lot of material and content is catered to people who can see. And so, there are certain things that are just more difficult, like following instructions or watching stuff online, or even doing stuff like work, because software is also often built for people who can see. On top of that, there are many things that I used to be able to do that I no longer can do, or I am limited in my ability to resume those things that I was able to do in the past. So even though on this channel I've played a few video games, gaming is not very blind friendly. And that's something that I used to enjoy in the past that I no longer can do anymore. Photography is another thing that I used to be able to do in the past. I was a school photographer when I was in secondary school. I was the one running around the school taking photos of all the events happening. And I was also a hobbyist photographer. I enjoyed that. That was my hobby for a while. And when I lost my eyesight, I no longer could do that. I also used to do things like drawing and watching movies. And so a lot of these things that I used to do in the past are no longer easily accessed to people like me. And so if there's something that I do regret about my situation is that I can't enjoy a lot of these things as much as I used to be able to. And even if I can do some of these things today, they are done in a limited capacity. And so, I just want to be honest about that, right? It does suck that I can't do these things anymore. And on top of that, the fact that a lot of things are just a lot more difficult than they would otherwise be, it does lead to something that is really important, which is the emotional state of people who are disabled, especially if it's an acquired disability. So I'm going to interrupt this program with a little request, which is, if you are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to tickle the like button, hit subscribe, smash that notification bell so you can stay informed about my future uploads where I talk about what it's like to live with blindness. And on top of that, I do have a small request for those of you who can help out. Now, I'll be perfectly honest. Running this channel is pretty expensive. On average, it takes me between $70 to $300 per video to get this content out to you all. I'm not complaining, I chose to do this for myself, but it would greatly help if you could contribute what you can to my Patreon. Now, don't feel obligated to do so. No one of you viewers are required to do this. But if you can find my Patreon at patreon.com/Josh Tseng. That's JOSHTSENG. You can donate to different tiers and support this channel where I talk about what it's like to live with blindness. So again, that's patreon.com/JOSHTSENG. Thanks. Now, in a sense, I didn't acquire the disability magically because I didn't go from not being vision impaired to suddenly vision impaired the next day or something that dramatic. But I used to be able to see. That is a fact. And my vision was diminished slowly over time. And some people might argue that that is better because, hey, you know, at least you were able to see in the past. Some people would argue that that is worse because you used to have this thing and now you no longer do. I'm somewhere in between. I'm really grateful for the things that I got to experience back when I could see. But it is honestly really true. It was incredibly difficult for me to reconcile the fact that I did not have vision anymore. And the point that I'm trying to get to is that it is a really important part of the conversation. Why people with acquired disabilities are more likely to experience mental health problems like depression or anxiety. Because, you know, a lot of the motivation and inspiration that comes from the disabled community, and sometimes I am aware I might even be contributing to this problem, is the messaging that sounds something along the lines of, you know, don't make excuses. You're disabled, but you are still able to do things. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Just try harder. A lot of these motivation, woo-woo sounding things, they might sound really good and they are not harmful necessarily. But there has to be a discussion and an honesty surrounding the fact that being disabled is really hard. And so this leads back to the question, do I regret becoming blind? You know, because it is so emotionally difficult, because it comes with so many challenges. Being disabled is not something I would wish upon my worst enemy. Not that I have enemies, but you know, I'm trying to make a point. This is something that is cruel. It is torturous. It is really difficult. I know I'm repeating myself a little bit, but I just want to underscore this fact. And so it's important to be empathetic to the people who are struggling, to the people who, you know, may not have figured things out quite yet. It is difficult. But some of what I said just now about the motivation woo-woo stuff, like I said, a lot of it is based in some kind of reality. The fact is, having a disability is something that I did not have control over. I did not ask for it. Why would I ask for it, right? And, you know, my parents didn't ask for it. Nobody caused this thing to happen to me. It's just something that happened and is a fact of my life. And so the second component of what I want to talk about today is acceptance of my disability. There is nothing I can do about my eye condition. No amount of prayer, no amount of hope, no amount of waiting around for a cure to come will change the fact that glaucoma is an incurable eye condition. And you know, I could wait around for science to reach a breakthrough in medical technology. I'm not trying to disparage what the researchers and scientists are doing. They are doing incredible things. I kind of do want to feature some of these things on the channel someday because some of the progress that has been made is absolutely incredible. But me waiting around for a cure doesn't do anything for my situation right now. Right now, I am vision impaired. That is just a fact. And so if I truly regretted the fact that I was blind, what can I do about it? And so the only thing that I can do is accept my situation and focus on the things that I have control over. Now, I know this is almost certainly not the intention of most people who ask me the question of, am I waiting for a cure, or do I hope for a cure, or do I regret being blind? Like, I'm sure people are asking this with honest curiosity, and they don't have malice or negative intentions. But, you know, if you are one of these people who might have wondered this question or are thinking about asking someone like me this question, maybe think about this from a different point of view. Because what you are implicitly telling people like me when you're asking that kind of question is there's something wrong with you and I hope there's a fix that can be applied to you in the future. That is kind of what you are saying. And this is really demoralizing and further compounds the difficulty that people with disabilities have in accepting their condition. Like I said earlier, a lot of people with disabilities who acquire a disability already struggle with mental health challenges. The fact is, if we want to help people like them, people like me, we need to focus on how can we get them, how can we get ourselves to accept people with disabilities? Because if we always focus on the fact that there's something missing or something wrong with them, they are never going to feel like they are totally included. Imagine if all your life you are told there's something wrong with you, your nose is too crooked, or you know, one of your eyes is too big compared to the other. There's nothing you can realistically do about some of these things. Okay, maybe go for plastic surgery, but let's say I'm telling you that you're too short or you're, you know, too this or that. me saying these things to you will make you feel terrible, wouldn't it? So I'm not trying to shame people who ask questions like these. I'm not trying to say that there is something wrong with you for asking these questions. These are very normal questions. And on this channel, in the comments, I want to encourage a culture of being open-minded. I understand that people have questions, and I'm not saying do this for every person who is vision impaired, but I'm giving you, the viewer, permission to ask whatever it is you want to ask me in the comments. I am basically happy to answer almost any question as long as it's relevant to understanding people with blindness. But at the same time, I also do want to encourage people to ask questions thoughtfully. How might your question be interpreted by the person that it is directed at? Does the question reveal sort of hidden aspects of your thinking when it comes to people with disabilities? Be more thoughtful about the questions that you're asking people with disabilities. And I think with that in mind, we can have more productive conversations about people with disabilities. So, do I regret being blind? No, because there is nothing I can do about it. If I spent my entire life regretting this fact, I would never be happy. I'm pretty privileged. I'm pretty lucky. I don't have to worry about a lot of the things that a lot of other people with disabilities have to worry about. And that has allowed me to be more comfortable in my skin and make the progress that I've made. I'm not gonna deny that. But I can tell you this much. A lot of my ability to find happiness lies in the fact that I was able to accept my disability for what it is. And for the other people with disabilities in society, I hope you and the people around you can accept you for who you are as well. So yes, this was a bit of a heavy topic, but I did want to get this off my chest. I thought it was an important issue to talk about, and it doesn't do any harm for more people to contribute to this topic in a thoughtful way. Whether you are a person with a disability or you know someone else who is disabled, let me know what you think. And if you enjoy my content, don't forget to tickle the like button, hit subscribe, smash that notification bell so you can stay informed about my future uploads where I talk about what it's like to live with blindness on this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!